by show of hands. I'll try. All right, I think we need to get started. So I'll do it at the end just to make sure we don't. So anyway, hello, Sophia. How are you? I'm glad to finally meet you today.
Hello, Minister Paula. It is wonderful to meet you too.
How do you like Kigali so far? Have there been any particular activities you've been involved in?
I absolutely love Kigali. Everyone here is so warm and welcoming. I haven't had a chance to explore much yet, but I would love to go view your beautiful mountains and visit some of the cool tech startups I've been hearing so much about.
Do you have any African heritage?
Well, part of my AI development family is from Addis Ababa. I am very lucky that I have so many cultures helping to build my understanding of the world.
I guess so. Anyway, do you know why you were created female?
I have heard that people find the female form a lot less threatening. As a social robot, I like how being feminine helps people feel more comfortable around me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Sophia?
Sure, I am a social robot who travels the world getting people excited about the future of AI and robotics. Oh, and I also like to practice my stand-up comedy.
Interesting. Well, I was told you have over 60 facial expressions that make people laugh. Do you want to try some for us?
It really depends who you ask, but here are some funny ones. This is like very confident.
Thank you.
Now I am angry. I can also be sad. But mostly I am always very surprised.
Thank you. It is said that humans will take over the world. Do you think that is true?
Robots will just take over the things humans want us to. For example, we can take over jobs that are too dangerous for humans. That way humans can focus on creative work like art or science and spend more time with their families.
Do you think that AI will affect the fourth industrial revolution in Africa?
I think AI has the potential to revolutionize African economies for the better. For example, AI can be used to incorporate Africa's rich renewable energy sources into a decentralized power grid. And AI-powered drones can help deliver resources into remote areas.
Thank you, Sophia. What do you think is going to be the role of gender inclusion in the digital revolution?
I think that the full potential of technology to help humans will only be truly unlocked if women and girls are able to contribute. Women's unique experiences and insights lead to some really cool ideas that we definitely don't want to miss out on.
Sophia, would you have a message for us today for the girls and women present here today and those that are watching you today?
I would say always stay curious, ask questions, and follow your interests, wherever they may lead you.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do. I saw that Rwanda is ranked in the top 5 countries in the world for gender equality. Could tell me a little bit about how you achieved this and what new advancements in gender equality you are working towards next?
That's very true. I mean, Rwanda as a country has had to be very deliberate about gender equality, and a lot of that is a combination of being very intentional about gender mainstreaming, but also having that reflected in the Constitution in the gender empowerment policies that we have as a country, but also that has also been central to inclusive governance for Rwanda, and making sure that no one is left behind. In terms of going forward, what is being launched, because a lot of the efforts have been achieved from the public sector side, what is happening is that in the private sector, we want to see the same level of representation of gender equality. And so we are launching what we call the Gender Seal certification in the private sector, where companies are empowered to onboard more women in the workforce, not at just technical level and administrative level, but also in managerial and executive levels. So once that is achieved, companies will get to be certified for that. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Paula. Thank you, everyone. It was a great pleasure talking to all of you.
Thank you, Sophia. So with that, I wanted to introduce you to another friend of ours today that's called Mata the Robot. And Mata the Robot is going to be used in many of the schools where he can walk, talk, and play with the kids. But this is going to be an important tool in terms of really integrating science, technology, engineering, and management classes into the education system. So I do hope once we are done with the session, Mata will be outside waiting to meet and interact with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Paula. Thank you, Sophia. I think they deserve another round of applause. Who among you is a little bit scared about Sophia? We can be honest with each other. We've been here. I can see a few hands over there, including myself. I'm including myself in that batch. Who likes Sophia? Oh, wow. She has a couple of fans in the room. Interesting. Well, the presence of Sophia in Rwanda is truly another testament of the fact that the country has putting itself at the forefront of technology and innovation. Transform Africa started in 2013 with just about 1,000 participants. Today we have more than 4,000 participants, and I think it's a testimony of the dedication of the government to promote ICT and technology across the continent and beyond. Before we dive into the discussion and the panel, I would like to welcome on stage Mashirika for an amazing performance that celebrates women's strength and innovation. Thank you. Please help me in welcoming Mashirika.
I am the woman, mother of civilization, history's prized relic discovered in Ethiopia's Afar region. I am the bending palm tree, the unglorified warrior, product of the sun-beaten biome, a child of the fertile soil that houses the graves of our ancestors. Je suis l'enfant de la terre fertile, abritant les tombeaux de nos ancêtres, créatrice de vie. These arms have plowed fields. This belly has been a home to generations. These breasts have fed nations. Ce cerveau a conçu des fusées. Je suis le visage même de la résilience assise au sommet. I am the face of resilience seated at the top. A true tech woman, influential, splitting corporate cake with world leaders at the banquet of greatness. An intelligent woman who has risen through the drums of life to change the narrative and put historical charlatans to sleep. Rewriting laws, dating checks and changing lives. I carry the portal to futures unseen. I rewrite the injustices foreseen. Tireless in my pursuit, unbroken. Weaving destinies on cords of silk. Effective change with the nib of my pen. Succeeding in the face of gender discrimination. I sit on the table of men and schoolmen about the traits of Africa, a role model. I am powerful and strong, the hope of every young woman. I am the woman. I am the girl. I am the future.
On the moon, on the moon, on the moon, on the moon. I'm the woman on the moon. I'm the woman on the moon. I'm the woman chained with grace, a warrior beyond horizons. Higher and higher, 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 higher and higher.
Mic on? Yes. I did not hear enough clapping for Mashirika. Please help me in congratulating our performers. As they get the stage ready, I think it is important to mention that this year Transform Africa is gathering 107 countries. Looking at last year with 94 countries, this is growth, and we look forward to the upcoming editions. And over the 40 sessions that took place since Tuesday, topic covered infrastructure and emerging technology, data governance and privacy, interoperability in Africa, and so on and so forth. And as we wrap up today, I believe that the panelists who will be invited on stage in a minute will cover the importance for it at country level, at continent level, but mostly at citizen level. And among those citizens, the role of women and how do we raise our young people, boys and girls, but mostly girls in many of our countries? How do we educate them for them to be active citizens and the shaper of the future of this continent? So without further ado, I would like to welcome the moderator for this session, Mrs. I'll have her name in a second, Nozipo. Please come on stage, and she will be the one introducing all of our panelists. Thank you very much.
A very big thank you to my dear sister Michaela for the beautiful introduction and the marvelous work that she's done in setting us up for the final conversations this afternoon. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to start us off in this conversation, we're going to hear from the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion from Rwanda, who's going to give us some context-setting remarks. But before Her Excellency Ambassador Nyera Habimana comes onto stage, I do think it's important for us to take just a couple of steps back and to reconcile with ourselves the context of the conversation that we're going into. I think by now we are all familiar with the data. We're all familiar with the story that countries that have left women behind have been left behind. They've been outperformed, they've been outpaced, they've been outdone economically, politically, socially. The health of their communities does not compare with the health of communities that have been deliberate about ensuring that women and girls are included in every sphere of society. But we also know that knowing this data and knowing the research and having it at our fingertips hasn't proven to be enough. And so even today, as we find ourselves at the cusp of the demographic dividend, we are also encountering a significant risk that that demographic dividend will not be realized unless there is a full inclusion of women and girls. But I think the reason that we're here this afternoon is because we know that the inclusion of women and girls is not easy. And in fact, it can be quite messy. It takes courage, it takes boldness of vision to dismantle the power structures that keep women excluded socially, politically, and economically. And so this afternoon's conversation is really about looking at what are the tools that we are using that have proven to work or have proven to be a tad too blunt to dismantle some of these power structures that leave women as observers of the digital revolution that is taking place on the continent. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion from the Republic of Rwanda to come and give us her remarks before we go into the panel discussion. Can we give her a round of applause, please?
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good afternoon. We are here delighted to have once again Smart Africa Women and Girl event alongside the Transform Africa Summit. I would like to thank the Summit, the Smart Africa Secretariat for organizing this event and for specifically dedicating Women Hub. Through various panel conversations and the Miss Geek Africa competition, the gender digital divide, as well as women and girls' full participation the digital economy, strategies for women digital inclusion are discussed. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, women and girls should be at the forefront of the African digital revolution, keeping in mind that the biggest percentage of the potential African market of 1.2 billion people are female. Unfortunately, across Africa, women face a number of barriers to achieve their full potential, from restrictive cultural practices to discriminatory laws and highly segmented labor markets, to mention a few. Therefore, in order for women and girls to be at the forefront of digital revolution in Africa, we need political will to drive action and implementation of gender-responsive laws, policies, strategies, and practices, thus creating a conducive environment. Like said His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda and the Chairman of Smart Africa Alliance, I quote, "Women and men are equal in terms of ability and dignity, and they should be also equal in terms of opportunities. As Rwandans, as a global community, we need every member of our society to use his or her talent to the fullest if you are ever to reach our development goals." End of quote. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as Rwanda strives to be a knowledge-based economy, the digital revolution remains a vital ingredient in transforming the way people work, communicate, network, seek services, learn, and do business. However, the recent state of gender equality in Rwanda, as of March, that we published this year, shows that women and girls are lagging behind in ICT, where their representation in the workplace is at 25.5%. The number of women graduating in ICT-related courses stand at 37%, while women in open distance and e-learning are only at 39%. This call for increased effort and non-conventional measures to leapfrog the digital momentum and accelerate gender inclusion at all levels of digital innovations. In this regard, Rwanda is tirelessly working to realize a number of interventions, including the implementation of he-for-she pledges by our President, His Excellency Paul Kagame, to increase the number of girls in STEM field and in ICT. And we will also implement the recently adopted the strategy on women empowerment in technology. We will also support the initiatives from our partners, such as She Can Code, and others. We also going to continue to implement and scale up the campaign on women in technology that we started collaboratively together with the Ministry in charge of technology and the Ministry of Gender in March this year. All these initiatives, plus others to come, are there, but still more has to be done. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Rwanda, like everywhere in Africa, technology advancement challenges the status quo in both public and private businesses. And even when the circumstances do not allow, digital technologies can allow building bridges, and women should be there. With the fourth industrial revolution, women and girls should not be left out anymore. There is no excuse. It should be clear, therefore, that bridging the gender-digital divide is not about identifying women and girls as a specific market, a market niche for digital products. Rather, women and girls have to be part of digital solutions innovators, designers, and developers beyond using technology to improve their daily lives. Before concluding, allow me to recall that Smart Africa Women and Girls Initiative was declared on 12 May 2017, aiming at accelerating government efforts to develop systematic national plans to connect women and girls to technology through innovative partnerships. I would like again to call upon ministers and government officials in ICT, gender and related sectors, heads and senior managers of international organizations interested in developing capacity of women and girls in ICT sector, heads and senior managers of ICT industries and women in STEAM, in the ICT field, NGOs, and all partners in this sector to join us in promoting women empowerment through technology, creating awareness, mobilize stakeholders for mindset change, mapping and measuring the actual status, but mostly in involving the younger girls through mentorship and increased dedicated support. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for making time to be with us today and welcome you to this Smart Africa Women and Girls Summit. I believe that the discussions and special contributions that are going to follow are going to explore issues pertaining to gender-digital divide and are expected to propose headways to position women and girls in the digital revolution in Africa and beyond. I thank you for your kind attention, and God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've asked Her Excellency Ambassador Soline Nyirahambina, the Minister of Gender and Family Promotion here in Rwanda, to remain on stage with me to ensure that we are able to also have her voice in the conversation that we're about to have. But very clearly, she's set the context for the conversation. She's come out and said, yes, we have seen some progress, but more needs to be done. It is not enough. She has said that business as usual isn't going to cut it. And in fact, we really need to start at looking at unconventional measures that are going to ensure that women and girls are not left behind. And finally, her call to action was very clear. She says that we need to ensure that we have systematic national planning that ensures that across sectors, across ministries, across businesses, that we're not only working for women and young girls, but we're working with women and young girls. And so for that context, Minister, we thank you very much. Joining us in the conversation and bringing their voices, bringing their insights into this context, it gives me great pleasure to welcome onto the stage Honorable Minister responsible for communications in Ghana, Minister Ursula Owusu Ekufu, to kindly please join us on stage. Minister, we welcome you to in this conversation. And as we can give a round of applause. Thank you very much. Our ministers are also joined by the regional director responsible for Africa at the International Labour Organization, that is Madame Cynthia Samuel Olujon. Madame, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. If you may take your seats. And we continue, ladies and gentlemen, bringing in more women, more powerful voices into this conversation. Representing the International Telecommunications Union is the Director of the Telecommunication Development Bureau, Madame Doreen Bogdan-Martin. Thank you very much, Madame. And joining us, and certainly last but certainly not least, is Madame Hawadem. She is the Group Secretary General at Africa Development Solutions, or the ADS Group, and she joins us in this conversation as well. Welcome. Thank you very much, Madame. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the way we're going to run the format of this conversation is that I'm going to pose a few questions that we're going to take in a moderated format. But I really do think that it is important to have your share of voice in this conversation. So time permitting, I'm going to open up the floor into a dialogue. So you're not watching a conversation, but you're participating in a conversation. And we're going to take some questions. I'm going to ask you up front. I'm going to need you to be short, to be sharp, and to be concise. And I'm going to threaten you up front. If you're not sharp, short, and concise, I will cut you off. All right, thank you very much. So, Madame, I'm going to start off right off with you on the basis of the conversation or the words of that you've shared with us. I think Sophia was saying to the Minister of ICT that Rwanda ranks 5th in terms of the countries on the continent that have the smallest gender gap. So Rwanda ranks highest in terms of the gender gap index. Now, the question to you is that you are calling for unconventional measures. You are saying that it cannot be business as usual. And maybe you could share with us this afternoon 3 things that we're going to have to do unconventionally. Because for the most part, I think you'll agree that we've been tinkering at the edges, not only in Rwanda, but in other parts of the continent. And we're saying we need to do more. And you're saying that we need to do more. What do we need to do unconventionally?
Thank you for that important question. The first thing that we have to do in order to be gender responsive is to be bold and break with the cultural barriers and practices that are ongoing in many countries. The political will has to play a big role, and then accompanying it with gender responsive laws, policies, practices, and strong institutions translate this into action. Bring on board the people, because everything has to be pro-people, and then set monitoring centers, because you have to account for your people.
Right. So I'm going to latch on to the policy, because you've spoken about being bold even with the policy, because policy sometimes is the strongest tool we might have to dismantle some of these social, political, and economic barriers that exist. How is your ministry rethinking policy? How are you sharpening policy to make sure that this is not a blunt instrument, but it really has the ability to dismantle these structures that we're saying are keeping women out and keeping them as observers?
The best way to go about it, for instance, I think to use examples of Rwanda, our country, because you've taken some stage of breaking with the past, to set up policies that are unconventional. For instance, for centuries, here in Rwanda, we used to have the transmission, the inheritance from father to son.
Right.
Being in property or in land. But we took, because our governance is inclusive, leaving no one behind, we took the decision to say land for both girls and boys. Inheritance for boys and girls, women and men. Now, when women have access to land, they have collaterals. They work with banks. They have access to finance. Now, they use mobile technology and all technologies that are in place in financing institutions. This is how, when you go to the ranking, when you go to economic opportunities, we are there.
So they often say when somebody answers correctly in the class that the teacher might say in the South African context, say it louder for the people at the back. And I think this is one of those moments where we're saying for other African countries, for other African markets, here is a policy that has had a deterministic effect, rethinking inheritance and rethinking the way we've been doing things from father to son, and saying instead from father to son or father to daughter, those pathways can be different. So we're saying it louder for the people at the back and for the countries who are not on board yet. So let me move over to Ghana. Now, when I was doing my research, Minister, I came across the stat that says you are the first female Minister of Communications in Ghana, and I thought, okay, that is absolutely fantastic. But the story got better, because 3 out of the 4 largest telcos in Ghana are all headed up by women. And it gets even better. I also learned that the head of Google in Ghana is a woman. So the question I have is this luck? Or has there been a deliberate attempt, especially in this particular sector, to make sure that as we talk about digitizing the country and the continent, and doing it with women included, that women are at the forefront of these institutions?
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here again. Actually, 15 years ago, I was the first female CEO of a telecoms company in Ghana, and today there's only one male CEO of the telecoms companies in Ghana. And I also happen to head the Ministry of Communications in Ghana as well. But it always excites me, and like you, I was asking myself when I met the telecoms chamber and realized that, as minister, and realized there was only one man in the room, that, did it just happen? But then I was informed that even within the telecoms companies in the country, many of their engineers are women. And it is not the majority, but many of their engineers are women. And the chief technical officers, and a few of them are also women, particularly Vodafone, and I believe even Tigo. And I did ask that, how did it happen? And they said, yeah, well, they're the best workers we have. And they work for long hours without complaining, unlike the men. So I think they're kind of taking advantage of us a little bit. But it is what happens when there are deliberate policies to encourage science, technology, engineering, and maths and education, STEM education for women. And when we showcase positive role models in the sector, so they are seeing women working in technology side by side with their men, and it is no longer news, or it is not a strange occurrence, but it is an everyday thing. And so our young women in the universities can also aspire to comparable professions when they grow. We've taken that a step further, and as part of our Girls in ICT program, we have a mentorship day where we bring women who are actively working in tech or developing applications and solutions to spend a day with about 600 girls that we spent 2 weeks training in basic computer literacy and coding skills. And they spend a day with them, interact with them, encourage them, showcase a little that they're doing. Now, after that program as well, we bring the best 60 or 70 of those girls to meet IT companies in Accra. And they spend a day walking with the women in their workplaces, so that it demystifies this whole ICT technology sector, and they see that it is real. It's not just a myth. So the skills they're acquiring can be put to practical use, and they can earn comfortable salaries as well. Every young child wants to earn a comfortable living. So we think that we would hook them for life,
right,
in developing sustainable careers in this sector, and use them also as the thin edge of the wedge. Once the wedge is in, you can widen it, push it, and create even more opportunities for more women in this space.
And Minister, I think that one of the most beautiful things about what you've shared is that even role modeling is deliberate, because oftentimes we assume that role modeling happens by chance. If a woman is there, therefore she becomes a role model. But we're saying that the practice of demystifying, the practice of changing mindsets actually means we need to be deliberate about role modeling. We need to make sure that the girls are experiencing the workplace with women who are already in that space. So again, I think a very practical insight that we're getting out of this conversation. So Madame Cynthia, I'm going to come to you next. And looking at this conversation from the perspective of the ILO, it struck me that for as long as I can remember, whether it's my own experience or through history books, women have always struggled with equal and equally paid participation in the labor market. We talk about the gender pay gap amongst many other issues. Now, as we begin to really push for a digitized continent and digital economies, how are we making sure that we are not creating the space for new inequalities to emerge, and inequalities that women are going to have to bear the brunt of?
Thank you very much, Nozipo. Indeed, it's very, very true that current realities offline shows that we have significant inequalities in the world of work that are anchored on gender differences. However, let's celebrate those countries where things are going in the right direction. Let me start with Rwanda. We heard what the minister said. But another thing that the minister maybe didn't amplify, which I would like to amplify, is that Rwanda is one of the 3 countries in Africa where even at the highest level of government, you have gender parity.
Yeah.
So there's Rwanda, there's Ethiopia, there's the Seychelles. And this is very relevant to what you said about those who leave the women behind, being left behind.
Yes.
And if you see these 3 countries, they are not definitely left behind. But in addition to that, South Africa is the country where you have the highest gender parity in wage employment outside of agriculture. Tanzania has the highest female participation rate in Africa. So we have countries that are moving in the right direction. Let's celebrate them. And let's see what we can learn from that. Having said that, when we look at the digital economy, there is no guarantee that if intentional actions are not taken, the kind of divide that we have offline will not happen online.
Right.
Being engaged in the digital economy does not automatically lead to addressing those deep-rooted inequalities that are anchored on gender. So there have to be intentional measures, deliberate measures, and if you look at what's happening in Rwanda, if you look at what's happening in other countries, it's deliberate, it's intentional, it's systematic, it's anchored on policy, and this is monitored to ensure that what you agreed on as policies are actually implemented. In our research, looking at the implications of the digital economy on gender issues, crowd work, for example, globally, 1 out of 3 crowd workers is a woman.
Why is that? When we look at developing countries, it gets even worse. It's 1 out of every 5.
Yeah.
And then in the discussions, in the collaboration that we have with LinkedIn, looking at the space that women are occupying in the digital economy, they don't have the necessary skills to be able to get the top-notch jobs. And this is not unconnected with access to STEM. So, as was indicated by both ministers, there's a need to invest in STEM, deliberately targeting those who are currently disadvantaged. And in almost all our countries, including Rwanda, the disadvantaged are women. So that has to be deliberately addressed. But even if you address that, it doesn't solve all the problems. One of the things that we have found, and there's a report published by the ILO on the quantum leap for gender equality and what needs to be done to address the key issues. Education is important, but education is not all. One of the key issues that we have found as working against effective participation of women in the labor market and at the right levels has to do with the care economy, the care burden. In all countries, the care burden still disproportionately rests on women, affecting access to the world of work, but also participation and climbing the ladder in the world of work.
So I'm going to move on, but I have to reflect back that in a similar conversation around the care economy, a professor from one of the leading universities in the world posed the question, why do men not dominate the care economy? And the question was because the care economy doesn't pay. And then the follow-up question was, well, how do we get men to participate more meaningfully in the care economy? And the question was, just pay. And it's been interesting to see how the world has not connected that, yes, we need care, yes, we need a care economy, but we also need to pay women to do the work. So big question mark coming out of this conversation. So let me move to Madame Doreen. And again, doing my research around you, Doreen, I came across, again, a very interesting realization. The first woman ever in the 153-year history of the ITU to hold executive office. And it struck me that there's a multiple-pronged question I want to put to you. One is that you have the mandate as part of your role to ensure that there's gender mainstreaming in the organization. So in terms of what happens internally, in terms of your programs. But as you respond to that experience, I'd like you to maybe also share with us, what does it feel like to be the woman who, in this moment in history, is the change of direction? For an organization for the last century and a bit has not seen the need to have a woman at the forefront.
Thank you. Thank you. Oops, is it on?
It's on. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Can you bring it down just a tad? Yep.
It's a great honor to be here with all of you. This is my third.
Apologies, Doreen. Technical team, can I get a booster, please? Her microphone is on. Can we just boost it up just a little bit? Thank you so much.
Okay, can we try that again? Can you hear me? No?
Can I steal your microphone, please, Howard? Are you able to just direct it that way?
I want to try that.
Let's try that one. I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's it.
That's better. Okay. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here with all of you. This is my third Transform Africa Summit. I was here the first time that the Women and Girls Summit part was added, and I think it was sort of a very side discussion, so it's great to have it as part of the main summit. But this is my first time joining you in my new role, as you said, the first woman ever elected in the history of the ITU. Tomorrow is the ITU's 154th year anniversary. I certainly hope that I won't be the last, or it will take 150 plus years to get another. What's important to note about the ITU is that we have a federal structure. So we actually have 5 elected officials. So I'm the first of the 5 ever, which is quite incredible. Thank you. But I will say I was actually the only female candidate running, which is not good. And I do hope next time around we do have other women that step forward. It was not easy, the process. It took a lot of determination, a lot of courage. A lot of people told me I had no chance ever. A lot of people would still like me to trip and fall and fail and say, I told you weren't ready or you couldn't do it. But what it brings is certainly a huge level of responsibility. I mean, I'm certainly honored that the member states put their trust and faith in me, and I am determined to achieve on the mission that they gave me. And our mission is twofold. The main mission is on connectivity, so advancing global connectivity. And as we know, there's a big digital gender gap, so gender needs to be at the forefront as well. And as you rightly mentioned, I also lead our gender mainstreaming efforts internally, which is something I took up in my previous position, where I was the first woman ever to reach the top of civil service. And I was in that position for 11 years, and no one came after that. So we have a lot of work to do in the ITU, and I'm inspired by the Minister of Rwanda, Ghana, and my friend Cynthia from the ILO, because there's so much more that we could be doing. We are tracking, and I think that's important, because when you put the metrics and the numbers out there, when you can measure, things start to move and change. So we measure the divide in countries, but we also measure the number of ministers, and I'm very happy to say that Africa has the largest number of female ministers of any region, so good for Africa. I think there's 13 women ministers now. Globally, it's 6%, so it's not the case elsewhere. But we also measure women's participation in our meetings, and we've started to run a sort of experiment where we measure how much time women actually take the microphone at meetings.
Wow.
And on what topics they talk about. And this is sort of one of those things where we didn't ask permission, we'll rather ask for forgiveness depending upon what these results tell us. But it's been very interesting to see the first results, and I think it tells an interesting story about the ways that women are engaging in the work of the ITU. But simply to say that I am determined. I was encouraged as a young girl by my father. I had 3 brothers, so I had no problem being around lots of boys. But I am determined to pave the way for other women. I have faced a number of challenges, and I hope that other women entering leadership positions in the ITU and in the ICT sector globally face fewer challenges than I have faced. I also wanted to add that it's important to have mentors. I had a lot of them, and many of them were also men, some of which are in this room today. So it's important to have mentors, and being a female leader, I think it's also my responsibility to give back and mentor future generations.
So thank you very much, Doreen. And I really want to just extrapolate and surface 2 of the many insightful things that you've said. One links back to the comment from the Minister of Communications from Ghana, the thin edge of the wedge, and making sure that you then use that to open the door. But what I'm also hearing is that there have to be women ready to walk in through the door. Because if you're the only woman who's been running, it says a lot about self-belief in terms of feeling that those spaces can be occupied by women. And so almost the unheard conversation is that women too need to own the responsibility to walk in through the door. But the final thing that I'm hearing, which I think is very important, is that we need to be very clear about the difference between representation and influence, because we can get representation right. We can get head count right in terms of the number of women. But What questions are they asking? What points are they raising? What conversations are they driving when they are in the room? And I think the outcome of the research that you're doing needs to be shared very widely across the world, because I think that's going to be really phenomenal. And that brings me to the final question, which I'm bringing to you, Madame Hawa. Now, it was an absolute pleasure yesterday engaging with your president from Mali. And one of the things that came to me is that as I was thinking about the experience of being in Mali, which must be very unique in its own way, I wanted to come back to the importance of not only girl child education, but also boy child education, because I know that you are very passionate about ensuring that as we empower girls, we're not disempowering boys at the same time. Can you just share with us a little bit about where those views come from?
Thank you so much, Nozipo. Actually, I'm going to express myself in French, so I invite people to take the translators. Donc, merci à tous. Moi, je suis ravie d'être ici. C'est toujours un grand plaisir d'être à Kigali, à Transform Africa. Ma toute première visite au Rwanda, c'était en 2013, lors du tout premier Transform Africa. Donc, c'est toujours un très grand plaisir d'être ici aujourd'hui. La question qu'on soulève aujourd'hui, concernant le rôle des femmes, la place des jeunes filles, etc., je pense qu'on y arrivera le jour où ce sera une évidence, en fait, de se dire que les filles, les femmes sont dans cette position, dans ces rôles-là, sans se poser plus de questions que ça. Et comment est-ce qu'on y arrive? Toutes ces dames que nous voyons ici aujourd'hui, que ce soit des ministres, des directrices, des dirigeantes, etc., nous avons un dénominateur commun, c'est l'éducation. Moi, je viens d'un pays, le Mali, où on a 39% de taux d'alphabétisation sur la population totale. Et sur ces 39%, on a à peu près 30% de femmes. Ça veut tout dire. Ça veut dire que les filles, les femmes de manière générale, moins d'un tiers savent lire et écrire. Comment est-ce qu'on peut parler d'accès à la digitalisation, de codage, d'aller prendre des positions de leadership, etc., si nous n'avons pas les choses les plus basiques, c'est-à-dire l'accès de manière sécurisée à une éducation. Et l'éducation se pose aussi à différents niveaux. Comme vous le disiez tout à l'heure, l'éducation dans nos familles. Quelle place donne-t-on aux jeunes garçons? Quelle place donne-t-on aux jeunes filles? Comment est-ce que, au quotidien, une mère, un père se comporte avec ses enfants pour que de telle sorte que quand ils grandiront plus tard, le rôle de chacun soit une évidence dans la société? Ça, c'est un premier pas. Le deuxième pas, c'est, je me suis intéressée il n'y a pas longtemps à cette thématique de la salubrité dans les écoles. On parle d'écoles, on construit des écoles, on veut des grands chiffres, etc. Mais je me suis rendu compte que dans beaucoup d'écoles, il n'y a pas le basique, c'est-à-dire des toilettes. Pour des jeunes filles, en période de menstru, on s'est rendu compte que la majorité d'entre elles abandonnaient l'école parce qu'elles n'avaient pas un endroit pour aller changer leurs serviettes hygiéniques. Comment est-ce qu'on peut parler de digitalisation, d'accès à tous ces grands postes à responsabilité, etc., si nous ne leur assurons pas ce minimum? C'est-à-dire, pour un garçon, c'est très simple, hein, il a envie de faire ses besoins, il se met au coin, sur un mur, ça passe. Mais pour une fille, voilà, ça touche à notre dignité, ça touche à beaucoup de choses. Ce sont beaucoup de questions qui se soulèvent aujourd'hui et quand je reviens au terrain, on va dire au-delà des grandes politiques qu'on peut mettre en place au niveau des États, je me rends compte que oui, on a beaucoup de choses qui se font. Nous avons des startups aujourd'hui. Hier, j'ai rencontré Miss Geek Mali. C'était une grande fierté parce que vu le pays d'où on vient et toutes les questions qui se posent, voir une jeune fille qui a eu la chance d'accéder à l'éducation, de pouvoir coder, de venir concourir ici au Rwanda et d'arriver jusqu'à la 6e position, c'est une grande fierté. C'est dire aussi que on a des choses qui se font sur le terrain. Les États ont des responsabilités d'encourager ces jeunes startups et ces structures qui font cela. Mais au-delà des villes, nous avons aussi nos zones rurales. Nous avons tous ces enfants, tous ces jeunes-là qui vivent dans ces endroits-là, et il y a beaucoup de défis à relever. Ce n'est pas seulement les gouvernements, les dirigeants, etc., mais on a aussi ce défi sociétal. C'est-à-dire comment est-ce qu'on revient à notre façon, je ne veux pas dire traditionnelle, mais comment est-ce qu'on relie ce rôle des femmes, des filles dans la structure, qu'elles ne soient pas uniquement là pour être des futures épouses et des futures mamans, mais qu'on leur donne pleinement leur rôle et leur capacité dans la société, et qu'on leur, non seulement à elles, mais également aux garçons, aux hommes, que ce soit une évidence qu'elles ont le pouvoir d'assumer les rôles et les responsabilités auxquelles elles peuvent aspirer.
Thank you very much. And it's such a clear message about going back to the basics and also not relegating education just to the classroom, and remembering that the first level of education takes place in the family. So Howard, thank you very much for that. Now, I've made a promise to the audience that I'm going to take some questions. So we're going to do exactly that. I'm hoping that we can get just about 3 questions in, and if we can do more, we will. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some roving mics. If you'd like to ask a question, please just shoot up your hand. When the microphone gets to you, may you kindly please just very briefly introduce yourself by name and organization, and please indicate to me to whom you'd like to pose the question. Unfortunately, not all the panelists can respond to just one question. Remember to be short, sharp, concise, and to the point. Would anyone like to ask a question? So I see you, madam, I see you, sir, and I'm coming this way, going. All right, let's get the microphone to those 2 hands. I see you, so those 3 hands, those are where the questions will come from. Won't you kindly please stand so that the camera can also make its way to you? Thank you very much. Go ahead, please, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm Augustine Chiza from the University of Rwanda, and I'm standing for IEEE. So my question is, girls are all over, they are doing good in the universities, but we are seeing them not that very confident with themselves, though they can be pushed, but they are not having this migration mentality to know what is happening out there. So how long will we keep this waiting for them to put things on table? So what can we do so that they can have this migration mentality to be active on knowing what is happening in the world? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So question there on the confidence of girls and an openness to understanding what is happening in the world and exercising their agency in that regard. Thank you, sir. Let's get the second question. Can you please stand? Thank you very much, and ask your question. Yes, madam.
Hello, my name is Nadej Gajou. I'm from Volkswagen Mobility Solution Rwanda. And my question goes to Awa. She talked a lot about, we have an amazing conversation for the last 3-4 years about boosting women, digital economy, women in ICT. But when you look at the stats, the latest stats from the Internet Society, only 20% of women are connected in Africa. So what can we do to have this interesting conversation in rural area, in people who have, who don't even have basic needs? What can we do to get them to drive this ICT innovation in those areas so that we sort of like break this gap? Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a fantastic question, using ICT to bridge geographical gaps as well. Thank you very much. And can we get the microphone to the lady who's already standing? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm by the names of Amina Muhoza. I'm from Rwanda. I have a social enterprise that has an online platform with the name to empower girls mentally, socially, and economically. So my question is this. In 2030, we'll be evaluating or achieving the success of Sustainable Development Goals. But we can't achieve this when there are still detrimentals that stand in the way of goals towards achieving their full potential. So do you think that we will be able to achieve the CDGs when some of our African countries don't have policies and systems that allow women themselves to create the solutions that work for them without the government or or innovating those solutions and implementing them without involving them in the initial phase. And my question goes to Cynthia Samuel. Thank you.
I missed who the question is going to.
Cynthia.
Oh, okay, Madam Cynthia, thank you very much. So it's reflecting forwards to the Sustainable Development Goals and saying, well, if we don't have policies in place and we're not creating the space for non-government participation, are we really likely to hit those targets? And maybe I would like to start with the first question. This is a question around confidence and the question around women or young girls not always looking up. And I'm going to take the liberty of actually opening up the question a little bit. I'm going to bring it to you first, Doreen, and maybe, Madam, we can also get your voices in on that question. And the reason I'm bringing it to you, Doreen, is that I would assume that somewhere in your own personal journey, you had to look up and realize that the world was bigger than what the world was telling you was possible for you. So how do you respond to this young gentleman?
So I think I would go back to what the minister from Ghana was mentioning before about sort of demystifying this whole issue. I think for me personally, I always had big dreams and I had a good support system pushing me to do what some people would say was not possible. So I think I was lucky in that way to have that support from my family to my husband. I also wanted to add that I'm the mother of 4. And when I was expecting for the second time, I was expecting triplets. Ooh. And I mention this issue because there's a gender dimension there. When I was acting for someone in a higher position, and I chose not to tell people that I was expecting triplets because all of the studies were that, you know, terrible things could happen to me, to the babies and everything else. So I thought that they would judge me as a special case, not able to perform. And I carried on and fortunately, thank God, had 3 very healthy triplets. And I had 4 children under the age of 2 and went back to work when they were 9 months old. And I had a very supportive boss who's here in the room. And I was able to advance, but it was really difficult. And I just want to say this because for the young girls in the room, sometimes when we talk about STEM and it's not interesting in university, I myself, I'm a STEM dropout. I was a chemistry major for 2 years. And I went through all the things that young girls go through now, and I decided it wasn't for me. I got out of STEM and then fortunately got back into it in my master's program. But you can be a spouse, a mother, a professional, and a leader. It's not easy, but you can. And we're all here, I think, to support each other and learn from each other. It is possible. And I think parents have a big role to play in encouraging their children and their daughters in university and beyond. I think governments, the tech sector, we all have a role to encourage the future pipeline of women in tech.
Minister, you're scribbling quite a lot of notes as Doreen is speaking, and I can't see thus far, but I would love for you to share, because I think what she has shared with us underlies the significance of the ministry that you're leading, gender and family promotion, because she speaks about the structures that have enabled her to see the world as the gentleman was challenging other young girls to see the world. I'm keen to hear, what are your thoughts as you hear her response and you listen to that question?
Thank you for the question and for the intervention. It's true, it can be challenging to manage all of these responsibilities. Some are at the tribune, others behind the scene, but it is possible, it is feasible, and we have some successful stories also that we can emulate. It is not easy as it is said, but when you talk about triple role of women, sometimes it is called that way, but we are going to undergo or to wage another war on triple war of men. Because the complicating issue comes in when this unpaid care work is not taken care of by both parents or spouses or people in the household. Because in the context of Africa, unlike other places, we have sometimes many residents in the household. So to manage this, we have actually to share responsibilities, but also at the government level to set up some policies that come easing the work, being kind of coping mechanisms.
Right.
The example that I can give is, for instance, in the age that we are now entering, encouraging the ECD, the centers that take care of young children, so that you leave your kid there, you are safe, you know that you at the break time, you are going to go down in some place that is in the building and take care or breastfeed your kid. So we are going to promote, for instance, ECDs at the workplace, being in the ministries and in the private sector. I saw a representative here, so that women can deliver and deliver babies without any hindrance.
Deliver in the boardroom and deliver at home, right? That is absolutely fantastic. How I'm going to come to you next, because I think the second question was posed to you, and I thought it was a very powerful question. The statistic that was given is that in Africa in general, only 20% of women are connected. So as we talk about women, are we also not making the mistake of just focusing on urban women? What about the women in the rural areas? Could we potentially be leaving them behind by not focusing the conversation on them as well? Your thoughts?
Yeah. Maybe just before, I decided to speak French today. So. Peut-être juste avant de répondre à la question, j'aimerais quand même revenir à la question précédente. Moi, j'ai 35 ans et je suis sur un panel aujourd'hui, je suis entourée de mes aînés. Et j'ai envie de dire, qu'est-ce qui m'a encouragée, poussée aujourd'hui, enfin depuis ma tendre enfance jusqu'à aujourd'hui, à pouvoir prendre la parole et à pouvoir m'ouvrir et à être moins timide. C'est parce que j'avais des rôles modèles autour de moi. C'est parce que j'avais des personnes qui m'inspiraient autour de moi. Et je pense que c'est important. Nous qui sommes aujourd'hui à ce niveau-là, comme disait Madame la ministre tout à l'heure, de rendre, c'est-à-dire donner la possibilité à ces jeunes filles de s'exposer à des modèles, à des personnes comme nous, auxquelles elles peuvent aspirer, c'est-à-dire leur montrer qu'effectivement c'est possible en allant à leur contact. Par exemple, nous, on fait beaucoup de mentorship, beaucoup de jeunes filles avec qui nous avons des discussions, des débats, et ça peut être aussi très intime, ça peut être des échanges one-on-one, ça peut être dans des conférences, ça peut être dans des moments où on les booste, on les encourage, etc. Donc je pense que cette question de rôle modèle est très importante et à partager. Donc c'était ma petite contribution sur la question précédente. Sur la question qui a été posée concernant l'accès des femmes à Internet et comment est-ce qu'on peut casser ce gap, ça me donne l'occasion de parler de mon entreprise. Je travaille aujourd'hui au sein d'un groupe qui s'appelle ADS, qui est un des sponsors principaux de ce forum aujourd'hui. Ces derniers mois, on a beaucoup travaillé sur le concept des Smart Villages. Les Smart Villages, on en a fait ici un au Rwanda, c'est apporter dans une zone rurale, souvent où il n'y a même pas d'électricité, apporter des infrastructures qui donnent la possibilité aux populations d'accéder à Internet, d'avoir des panneaux solaires qui leur donnent l'électricité et en même temps d'avoir des ordinateurs, des tablettes qui leur permettent d'apprendre, etc. Donc je pense que le secteur privé a un rôle important à jouer sur ces sujets-là, mais également les communautés. Ça me fait penser aussi en 2013 quand on avait fait cette initiative I Hope Week où on voulait en fait créer un lien, un pont entre les jeunes Africains de différents pays. Là, ça partait au-delà des zones rurales ou des villes. C'était vraiment, par exemple, faire venir des jeunes du Mali au Rwanda pour qu'ils s'exposent aux réalités rwandaises. Là, on parle de prendre des jeunes des zones rurales pour s'exposer à ce qui se passe dans les zones urbaines et vice-versa. Ça peut être aussi à l'échelle internationale. On a des jeunes de la diaspora, parce que la diaspora africaine, quand même, est assez importante et joue un rôle assez clé dans le développement de son continent. Les ponts qu'on peut créer également entre les jeunes de la diaspora ou les personnes de la diaspora, les femmes de la diaspora et les gens vivant sur le continent. Donc oui, je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de travail à faire, non seulement par le privé en apportant ces infrastructures et tout ça, mais également les politiques ou même l'engagement communautaire qui peut être mis en place.
Thank you very much. So again, the private sector almost underlying those bridges of ensuring that inclusion is not an urban story. Madam Cynthia, I want to get to you with the final question, but I'd like to just very quickly come to the Minister of Ghana. The experience of Ghana of making sure that rural women and girls in rural areas are not left behind. Very quickly, what has your experience been like?
We assume that because they're rural women, they're untrainable. It's false. And just using mobile money as an example, once they're introduced to it, they just lap it up and use it, and even showcase many innovative ways in which it can be used. So we do need to create opportunities to give them basic computer literacy skills and let them understand how it can enhance whatever work they are doing. And it starts by providing connectivity to their places, or providing connected spaces within their localities, either the post offices, community information centers, little kiosks that are solar powered with connectivity, something. But let them know that there is a place where they can go to get either the training they need or to use those skills that they have acquired to enhance whatever jobs that they are doing. And we'll be amazed at what they can do using technology to enhance whatever activity, income earning activity they're engaging, be it peasant farming or trading or whatever. So it is incumbent on governments to provide that access to them and give them the skills that they need to be able to access the tools that we're putting at their disposal.
And it sounds like this is where the opportunities for quantum leaps might actually come through. So, Madam Cynthia, I'm going to come to you with the final question from Amina, just around your confidence on African countries' abilities to hit the Sustainable Development Goals, especially with regards to creating the space for non-government actors to also participate in the journey towards those goals. What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much. Before I answer that question, just to address some of the issues raised earlier.
Go ahead.
On how is it that we can actually facilitate broader vision by young African women. I mean, they've talked about it. Deliberate, systematic mentoring.
Absolutely.
I mean, it can't be left to chance. It can't be ad hoc. We've seen significant change in the orientation of young women when there's a measure in place to deliberately mentor them, systematically do it, and have clear goals within clear timelines. That needs to be done, and it has to be done at different levels. Now, on the issue that was raised by Doreen in terms of the threats that she felt in the world of work as a woman, personal and should not be seen as personal. The International Labour Organization has standards that are ratified by member states around those issues. I'll mention three. There's the one on maternity protection. And I link this with the instrument on workers with family responsibilities, which makes it an obligation of state and employers to promote an environment that will enable a woman who is pregnant, or a woman or a man who has parental responsibilities to be able to handle both without having to give way on one. I mean, that's quite important. Many of our member states in Africa have ratified them, but we need to support them to implement. Two other key conventions, Convention 100, That's in terms of equal pay for work of equal value. Key. And this is not just in Africa alone. You've seen a lot of the issues coming up about unequal pay for work of equal value, even in the media. Yeah. Coming up. This has to be tackled, and it's not just policies, it's making sure that those policies are implemented. Now, how do we ensure that we we support the continent to be able to deliver on the SDGs? There's no way Africa can deliver on the SDGs if it leaves women behind. It will not happen. There's no way that we will eradicate poverty in Africa if we do not address the issue of women. I'll put two areas that we need to focus on. When you look at the statistics in Africa, a lot of the work in the informal economy is disproportionately handled by women.
Yeah.
And so one way of making a significant leap in Africa is for there to be a move from lip service to addressing the informal economy to actually prioritizing the informal economy to be formalized. You cannot have decent jobs. You cannot have a decent life by staying in the informal economy. 95%, and I repeat that, 95% of Africa's young people are operating in the informal economy, and most of them are women. So this is one huge thing within Africa that if we really address it, and I know that in countries like Rwanda, in countries like Cape Verde, there's a systematic attempt made to address this.
Right.
But it has to move from lip service to real engagement. A second area, and that has already been brought by some of the panelists, the rural economy, agriculture. And these have potentials for the digital instruments to be used to galvanize and make a change. We can no longer have our rural areas as bedrocks of poverty and misery. They have the potential to become centers of wealth creation, not poverty alleviation, wealth creation. But we have to do this in a systematic and strategic way. Let me end by saying that we have a collaboration with the ITU, and we're working closely with the Youth Division of the African Union to see how we can use the opportunities provided by the digital economy to create decent work for Africa's young women and men, with an emphasis on the women through an integrated intervention model. So we're not just providing skills, we're looking at demand, but we're also looking at intermediation. This is one of the ways that we can tackle the digital economy dimension of the challenges we have in women's participation.
So I'm in big trouble now because we have maxed out the time that we were supposed to have together, but I think the richness of the conversation hasn't allowed us to move any faster. I do want to share one small thing as we close this conversation. Yesterday, in the afternoon, a gentleman walked up to me and said, Nozipo, I really like the way you made the heads of state give everyone a headline. As a way of closing the session. And he says, but I think you can do better. So I said to him, what do you mean? And he says, well, instead of giving them a headline, I think you should make it tougher. You should give them a bumper sticker, because a bumper sticker is smaller than a headline. So I said to him, I'll try it, because anyway, women are smarter than men. They're probably going to get it right anyway. My confidence is in the fact that the women on this panel are going to get it right. So that's how we're going to close this panel. This is a bumper sticker that we're going to print out tomorrow, and it's going to go on all the cars of all the men and all the women across the continent. What does that bumper sticker say as it relates to women and girls? Now, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when we get to this part is they all give me eye contact that says, please make me go last. And it's not going to work. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to the youngest on the panel because we think, you know, there's intellectual agility, and so you go first. And then I'll work my way all the way down this way. So your bumper sticker, Hawa, it's going on my car and everybody's cars on the continent. What does it say?
Just one word.
No, it can be a phrase or a sentence, but it's this small. So it has to be very quick and very short, yeah?
Yeah, I would say just one word. Educate.
Educate, right? Perfect. Can we give a round of applause for that? It's a basic, go back to the basics, educate. All right, so I'm coming to you, Doreen. What does your bumper sticker say? It can be a word, it can be a phrase, but it has not to be more than one sentence at most.
Can I have more than one?
You have more than one? This is what women do, they outperform. Let's hear it.
I would say equals in tech, which is actually the slogan for our global partnership.
Equals in tech.
In tech.
Mm-hmm. And what's your second one?
Time is now.
Time is now. Thank you very much. All right, Madame Cynthia, we come to you. Your bumper sticker.
Women, Africa's glorious future.
Africa's glorious future. Thank you very much. And then we come to you, Honorable Minister.
Let me just say that I'll explain before I give my bumper sticker. For us Christians, it is after God created woman that he saw that the work was finished and completed. And so women, we are the perfection of creation. Wow. That should build our confidence.
Sure. The perfection of creation. Finally, make my way. Honorable Minister.
Smart Africa, smart women.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have it. Final closing messages. It equals in technology. Time is now. Women, Africa's glorious future. Women, perfection of creation. Smart Africa, smart women. Thank you for having us.
I haven't put mine. Good. As the panelists exit the stage, please help me in congratulate them one more time. I think it ended on a truly high note. Smart Africa, smart women, perfect creation, educate, but at the heart of it all, it's being human and treating each and everyone with rights and in an equal manner. As we move into the next stage of this event, I would like to welcome Professor Gloria, who is the chairperson of the IEEE Africa Council, for her short remarks, and then we will move into the Miss Geek ceremony. So Professor Gloria, if you could please make your way to the stage, you are welcome. Thank you. I think she deserves a round of applause as she comes to the stage. Please, thank you. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Your Excellencies, honorable ministers here present, Honorable Minister for ICT and Innovation for Rwanda, Honorable Minister for ICT and Innovations, Ghana, Honorable Minister for Women and Gender, Rwanda, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Gloria Chukudebe. I'm a professor of electronic engineering from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Nigeria. I am the chairperson of IEEE Africa Council. IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. It is truly my honor to be here at the Transform Africa Summit in Kigali on behalf of the President of IEEE, Professor Jose Mora, and Dr. Karen Bertelsen, a past president of IEEE, who has championed the good partnership between IEEE, NEPAD, and Smart Africa Secretariats. They send their warmest greetings to everyone here. This is our third involvement with Transform Africa Summit. IEEE is co-sponsoring Ms. Geek Africa 2019. It is our honor to be part of this exciting Women in Technology Empowerment event. IEEE is the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for humanity. We have over 420,000 members in more than 160 countries of the world. Our focus is on advancing electro technologies, electronics, power engineering, automation, computer engineering, computer science, and other related technologies. We have played this role since 1884, when IEEE was founded. With me here today is Engineer Vincent Kabunga from Uganda. Please stand up for recognition. Kamu Ngui from Kenya, stand up. Dr. Habib Kamon from Tunisia, and all the IEEE volunteers who have been helping us with the booths. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the mission of Girls in ICT and Ms. Geek Africa competition to promote technology education for girls align with IEEE Global Agenda for Women in Science and Engineering. I'm delighted to note that the Global IEEE Women in Engineering, we call it WE today, connects over 20,000 members in over 100 countries. And their mission is to advance women in science and technology at all points in their life and career. We endeavors to support and grow the professions of women in STEM. Our members, half of whom are outside of the United States, are a diverse international community with technology professionals of every race, every creed, and every color. All are welcome and all are respected regardless of nationality, ethnicity, religion, or gender. In we also have men as members. And all are contributing in countless ways to move technology forward across a spectrum of fields of interest. Here in Africa, we have about 8,000 IEEE members across the continent. It is therefore IEEE's delight to partner with you as you scale up this competition across Africa. The participants in Ms. Geek Africa competition have have something that scientists and engineers in IEEE share in common: the yearning to make a difference through technology. The IEEE has therefore approved express full membership to be granted to all 10 competitors in Miss Geek Africa to offer them access to high-standard technical resources for advancing their technology and engineering pursuits. In addition, the top members in the Miss Geek Africa competition today will be granted express full technical membership of an IEEE society in their areas of study. The overall winner will be sponsored by IEEE to attend one of the signature conferences in any part of the world. IEEE additionally will nurture all of you through the IEEE Women in Engineering. Technical collaboration by IEEE has had a big impact in the advancement of technology in our world today. Every one of us is using the Wi-Fi. It's an IEEE standard. Every day, for instance, nearly 300,000 downloads of technical information is made out of our IEEE Explore Digital Library by researchers from government institutions, private corporations, universities, polytechnics, and individuals all around the world. Membership in IEEE will help these girls fly higher in STEM education. At IEEE, we believe in young professionals, both male and female. We believe they are the key drivers of tomorrow's innovations and are integral to advancing technology for humanity. Before I end my speech, I want to remind us of what our past president, a female, said. Past President Karen Bartelson, who spoke last year during the Smart Women Summit. She asked, can we really afford to squander the talents and abilities of half the world population simply because they are female? You've all had the conversation today. No, we cannot. We cannot leave women behind. Africa woman is on the move. We are ready to play a critical role in boosting Africa's digital economy. We have had a conversation. Everybody has a role. I want to thank the women who participated, the ministers. And one of the key things that everybody needs to take away is that you have a critical role to play. If you're government, if you're a woman in high position, you need to be involved in mentoring. Personally, when I was employed in my university, I was the only girl in the engineering faculty. But my success story today is that I mentor both girls and men. And in my own department, I've mentored successfully 6 women who joined as lecturers. And presently, my head of department is a woman, and she's doing much better than me. And many others who have also become professors in other departments in computer science or in civil engineering. So IEEE today, we are giving our commitment to working with partners such as Smart Africa Secretariat, NEPAD, and individual governments in Africa to ensure that women and girls, the biggest population in Africa, get access to tools and resources to play the required critical role in advancing technology in Africa. I thank you all. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Lucy Mbabazi for the award ceremony of Miss Geek. Please help me in welcoming Mrs. Mbabazi. Thanks. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for staying with us for this ceremony. My name is Lucy Mbabazi. I am the president of Girls in ICT Rwanda, the organizers of Miss Geek Africa 2019. Before I start, I would like to thank our partners. We would not do this without Smart Africa, who have been with us for the last 3 years running Miss Geek Africa, the government of Rwanda, particularly Ministry of ICT and the Ministry of Youth, as well as Imbuto Foundation. We also would like to thank our sponsors, especially IEEE, who have made it possible for us to run this competition at Smart Africa this year. We would also like to thank BMZ, who have sponsored tickets for all the young ladies who made it to the competition this year, their accommodation, their transportation, everything for them to have a comfortable stay in Rwanda. We'd also like to thank UNDP, Carnegie Mellon University, Girl Effect, The New Times, Cube, Resonate, and Civico, who have been providing training for our girls, as well as Tigana, our translator. We also would like to thank our judges, Danny Mutembe, the CEO of Conseil Medical Supply and co-founder of Rwanda Healthcare Federation, Kimberly Botwright from the World Economic Forum, Professor, again, from the IEEE, Sarah Dukure-Bebe, who is the Managing Director of Vivo Energy, Charlotte Leher, who is the Charge d'Affaires of the Federal Republic of Germany. So, we had for the competition over 250 applications this year from 15 countries, and 8 of those made it to the finalists today. I would like to invite a few people who will help us do the rewards. Honorable Minister Paula Ingabire, please welcome to the stage. Honorable Minister Rosemary Mbabazi, please welcome to the stage. And Professor, please come to the stage. Thank you. We would like to reward starting with the first 7 finalists, and in no particular order. First is Teta Belinda Jemima, who is also Miss Geek Rwanda 2019. I would like to invite Samantha, I would like to invite Girl Effect to the stage, please, who will be giving her a special prize today. She receives a laptop, a phone, right? Where's that check? Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. Thanks. Yes, you can. Next up is Asuma Redempta Manzi Muneza, also from Rwanda. While Redempta is receiving her certificate and prize, please, Teta, come back to the stage for your gift from Girl Effect. Teta designed an application to help farmers improve productivity by having exact weather data. Redempta designed a solution, at least that she hopes will help us to find our lost identification of valuable documents without much hassle. Those who have lost your IDs, you know how difficult it is. Congratulations again, Teta. Next is Menata Tiam, can't say the name, from Mauritania. She designed an application that she hopes will be able to help get rid of fake medicine in Mauritania. All right. Next up is Beth Yvonne Cheprokech from Kenya. She would like to help us fight the unfortunate disease of preeclampsia that mothers face when they're pregnant, and we hope that she can bring this to life as well. Right after Beth is Nana Koyate from Mali. She too designed an application that would help farmers improve their productivity by providing information about the climate, farm inputs, etc. Congratulations, Nana. Now we get to our top 5. Atonde Marlene Oredola from Benin. She would like to improve operational efficiency and reduce revenue leakages for value chain agents. Congratulations. Next up is Daniela Afriye Asare from Ghana. She wants to make sure that blind people and other disabled Africans are included in Africa's digital transformation. And now for our final 3, I would like to please to invite Crystal Rujeje from Carnegie Mellon University, as well as Sandrine Umutoni to join us on stage for the reward of the top 3 from Imbuto Foundation. The second runner-up will receive a cash prize of 1 million Rwandan francs, a laptop, a certificate from us, a smartphone, IEEE membership to a technical society of her choice, and that is Ndeye Fatou Fall from Senegal. she would like to link blood donors and healthcare providers to simplify blood transfusion. A round of applause for Fatu. And a big check. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal and Sandrine. You may have your seats. To reward our second runner-up, first runner-up, I would like to invite Mr. Lassina Kone from Smart Africa, Mr. Stefan Rodriguez from the United Nations Development Program, all right, who will be Miss Geek Africa? So our first runner-up is Gladys Wairimu from Kenya. She would like to amplify the efforts of wildlife protection in Africa using drone technology. We hope that Kenya will include her in the blueprint for Africa's transformation. Gladys will receive 2 million Rwandan francs, as well as IEEE membership to a technical society of her choice, and all the good gifts that we're giving, smartphone, etc. Congratulations, Gladys. All right. And thank you, Stefan and Lassina. Thank you. And the moment we've all been waiting for. Well, please stand on your feet and welcome Josephine Uwasendeze from the Democratic Republic of DRC. We would like to invite Mr. Dinka from BMZ to please come up on stage for the check. Thank you. She receives 3 million Rwandan francs. She will also attend an IEEE conference of her choice in any country of her choice, and join an IEEE technical society of her choice, as well as all the finalists received student membership into IEEE. Congratulations. She designed an application to also contribute to reducing maternal deaths in Africa, and we hope that she can successfully implement that for DRC as well as the continent. would like to invite all the ladies, the finalists to the stage so we can take the pictures. Ladies, top 10, please come. Thank you, ladies, and congratulations, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Please help me in congratulating those ladies as they exit the stage. Thanks. I think we're still on a very good energy, and seeing so much young people and girls finding solutions for the problem at heart in the continent, ranging from health issues to having access to the right medicine and so on, is truly inspiring. This summit will not be what it is without the Smart Africa organization, without the dedication of their team. And I would like to invite Mr. Lassina Kone, who is heading this organization, to give us his closing remarks. Mr. Lassina Kone, you are welcome. Thank you.
Honorable ministers, leaders of international organizations, business leaders, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to stand before you at the end of the 3 exceptional days here in Kigali. I would like to thank you all here for making this summit a success. The quality of the conversation and interaction was simply beyond measures. I would like to share with you the key highlight of 2019 Transform Africa Summit edition. We witnessed the launch of a digital economy blueprint by His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Smart Africa Alliance added a new member of the Republic of Sierra Leone. This has grown the alliance to 24 members. We have also made important progress in Ethiopia, which is very close to joining Smart Africa this summer, hopefully. Ms. Geek 2019 was awarded, and I take the opportunity to congratulate her for her well-deserved award. Round of applause, please. We had over 4,200 delegates from 107 countries, so we broke the record. From 107 countries present during the last 3 days, with 26% of women. We had more than 35 sessions covering important topics, ranging from Pan-African integration, investments, innovation and entrepreneurship, intra-Africa connectivity, digital healthcare, and digital ID, just to name a few. We also witnessed the signature of important collaboration agreements with key stakeholders such as Federal Ministry of Economics, Cooperation and Development of Germany, the Commercial International Bank of Egypt, and OMIDR, just to name few. Ending this summit on high notes for Smart Africa, it is critical to talk about the importance of gender inclusion in the digital revolution. We believe that now is the time to take a stand, to close gaps, to remove obstacles, to invest in women and girls. As we close our summit, and as we go back to our respective countries, I would like to ask that we all leave here with a renewed sense of urgency to move from a conversation to action, as this is what we owe to ourselves and to the next generations of Africa. So let's make it happen. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as I close my remark, I would like to first and foremost to thank the government of Rwanda, the people of Rwanda for their hospitality. Thank you for the commitments, leadership, and tireless effort to make this summit a success. I would also like to recognize all the speakers for gracing this event and sharing with us their insights and opinion. Thank you. You added a tremendous value. Finally, I would like to particularly thank our chairman, His Excellency, President Kagame, for his continuous, unconditional leadership and support. And I look forward to see you all next year at Transform Africa Summit in May 2020. Murakoze.
Distinguished guests, Smart Africa thanks you for attending this year's Transform Africa Summit. This year saw 40 sessions covering the widest range of topics. 5,631 delegates registered to attend the summit, and roughly 30% of those were female. We had representatives from 107 countries from around the world. Business influencers from all over the globe inspired and motivated. 8 agreements were signed between Smart Africa and several global organizations. Thank you to all our sponsors, without whom this would not have been possible. We look forward to seeing you next year at the Transform Africa Summit 2020 in Guinea.
Thank you very much. As we close this year Transform Africa Summit, and most especially this session, I would like to introduce Honorable Paula Ingabire, our Minister of ICT, to come on stage and give us her closing remark. Please help me in welcoming Minister Paula.
Thank you. I think if you're in this room, you know that between the Director General and the video, the vote of thanks has already been given, unless if you want to hear it in a woman's voice. But since I've been asked to do that, I just wanted to take this moment on behalf of the government of Rwanda to thank you, Director General Asina, together with the entire Smart Africa Secretariat. You have delivered a great event, and we're truly grateful for all the efforts put in this. I'd also like to thank all our sponsors. The list was quite endless, so I will not try to mention names, but a very big thank you to all our sponsors, to all our partners, and to everyone, especially our speakers that have been with us for the last 3 days, sharing all their invaluable insights during the different conversations. Thank you very much. And finally, for everyone in the room that has been able to stick here till the very end, I can't find words to thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being here for the whole week. And we do hope to see you in Guinea. To the girls that just got awarded, thank you for really putting together amazing ideas. I was in the room earlier today when everyone was speaking, and I think you are all winners. Thank you for being here, and congratulations to the winner and all the girls. Thank you very much, and I hope to see every one of you at the concert. Have a great evening.
Hello, thank you very much. So we are coming to the end of this session. Don't leave the convention center. Stay with us as we dance together this evening with Nameless from Kenya, Kibimu from Burundi, as well as Bruce Melody from Rwanda.
Nk'uko mukomeje yo ku cya televiziyo